This week's episode is brought to you by Crown Haven Wealth Advisors. Your retirement reimagined. Coming up today on RetireSHIELD TV.
What happens when a 2008 occurs, 2009 occurs? What happens when a COVID happens? What we find out is that C isn't always after B. And in some cases, we can actually have a lower account balance than we started with at A. We want to make sure that there's enough money in emergency funds so that you can handle any emergencies that come your way. There's more than enough money to create secure income from a guaranteed place. And once those two things are handled, then we begin to look at if we want to try to hit home runs in the world's largest casino, which is what the stock market is. You know, my job is to do two things. It's to understand the human, and then it's to use the expertise to provide an extreme amount of value for that human.
Knowing people and building trust. Get on the right path to achieve your retirement goals with Casey Marx and the team at Crown Haven Wealth Advisors. Understand the process and challenges of retirement planning. Discover the keys to a successful retirement.
Hello and welcome to RetireSHIELD TV. I'm consumer advocate Morgan Patrick, and as always, I am joined by the founder and CEO of Crown Haven Wealth Advisors and the creator of the RetireSHIELD process, Casey Marx. Casey is not only the author of Baby Boomer Retirement Bootcamp, he is also a retirement income certified professional as well as a certified financial fiduciary. It is good to see you, Casey.
It's good to be with you, Morgan.
Over your many years in the industry, many of us have heard you discuss the retirement ABCs. So let's get into this. What exactly are the ABCs of retirement?
Well, the ABCs, how I'm referring to them, is when we're children, we go to school and we learn that A is always before B and C is always after B. And we tend to think of things in life in this linear pattern. So when it comes to investing, what we think of most is, for example, I started with $100,000. Then I'm at $200,000. So more than likely, a couple years go by, I'm going to be at $400,000. That's called the appeal to probability, thinking something that is possible is probable. But then the question becomes, if we're in the world's largest casino, what happens when a 2001 or 2002 occurs? What happens when a 2008 occurs, 2009 occurs? What happens when a COVID happens? What happens when a 2022 occurs? What we find out is that C isn't always after B. And in some cases, we can actually have a lower account balance than we started with at A. And so this appeal to probability is something called the gambler's fallacy. This is why you see folks that will show up at the blackjack table, and because they've had a couple of winning hands, stay there. That's why they say in Vegas, your quickest path to losing money is to stay at the table for a long time. Because the house always wins. The odds are stacked against you. This is the same thing when it comes to retirement planning. It's the same thing when you're talking about ensuring that your assets are going to be there for the rest of your life, because it's just a matter of time until the next loss occurs. The only question becomes, when that loss does occur, are you still going to have enough money there, to go get dinner after you leave the casino, or whatever that may be?
So we've been raised to think about probability.
Yes.
A, B, C.
Yes.
Growth. A, B, C.
Yes.
So now the next question is, what about certainty? Because from what you're saying is, it's not certain to go A, B, C. We have to kind of find a way.
Yes, and you hit on a very important point. We are raised in our own human psychology, and this is the basis of a lot of human psychology. It is something has happened in the past, so therefore it's going to happen in the future, and after that it's going to happen again. And we like to categorize things as human beings because it makes our life a lot simpler. Things are very difficult to take in. There's so much different input that we get on a daily basis. It only makes sense to try to make it linear. But reality has proven to us time and time again that there are unexpected events that occur. And those unexpected events, quite frankly, are the most impactful in our lives. And that can be positive too. Like, I didn't expect to meet my significant other out of the country, but I did, right? And that was one of the best things that ever happened in my life. Conversely, when my father passed away, suddenly at age 15, that was also a major life-changing experience for me as well. The unknown unknowns are what make life worth living. They're also what can really hurt us. So when it comes to retirement planning, having an appeal to probability is not really the way to go about it, because what we need in retirement is a certainty of outcome. Because what we've lost in retirement is the ability, or maybe the opportunity, to earn additional money from our own time and energy, whether or not we've been laid off, or maybe we just don't have the energy to work. And at the very least, we don't want to necessarily spend that time and energy. So we're in this distribution phase where we need to create income from our investments.
Right.
When it comes to that, that's why the academia suggests having guarantees as the cornerstone and the foundation for successful retirement planning, because by doing that, you eliminate the variability of outcome. You give yourself the linear nature of events that you're looking for. And that's what's so beautiful about guaranteeing the safety of the investment.
Talking about probability, it's almost like it's the equation that's over here, and it's totally unpredictable unless you know the answer. And the answer, we plug in the shield.
Yes, absolutely. And that's another great point. It's people are looking for, if I were to poll 100 people on the street, people are looking, if I said, if I could wave a magic wand and give you certainty of outcome for your money, they would say, how do I do that?
Yes.
I want to do that. How
Crystal
do I
ball it. Let's go.
How do I do that? I want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
That's what we're offering all day long. We're not saying we can predict the market. We're saying that with your money, let's predict the outcome. Or let's create the outcome, rather. Let's give you the outcome you're looking for. Let's invest in certainty. Rather than trying to predict the outcome, rather than hoping that we've got our best guess and our best guess is going to work,
right.
Let's give you the certainty of outcome. And that, in and of itself, results in the solution that folks are looking for.
Based on what you have, you formulate the plan, you create the shield for that individual or that couple.
Exactly.
And that is the process.
Yeah, and by the way, and I want to make a really big point of this too, that does not mean that we're waving a white flag of surrender and saying we're not going to grow our money. Having protection does not mean that you can't grow your money. In fact, having protection allows your money to grow faster for you, because at a very basic level, if you have $100 and you lose 10%, you're down to $90. If you gain 10% on $90, are you back to even yet? No, you're at 99. So if you eliminate the loss from happening,
right,
and the gains just compound on each other, that is how your money grows quicker. So the growth happens as a result of the certainty as well. And then that translates into income, which is greater, which helps you deal with all of the other things that we might not have control over, like inflation, for example. We can plan for it, but we can't control it, right? We can plan for taxes, we can't control them, right? So there are things we have control over, there are things we can't control. The things we can't control are inflation and taxation. We can plan for them. The things we have control over are the risk we take, the fees we pay, how we set up our funds from a tax perspective, how we set up our funds from a legacy perspective, things of those nature. So if I'm planning for my own retirement, I'm wanting to grab a hold of with every fiber of my being the things I have control over, because I know there are still things I'm going to have to plan for that are not within my sphere of influence.
The certainty is the feel good.
Yes.
But you're not saying you don't get in there and grow it.
Absolutely.
So folks, that's the message. We're about to take a quick break, but if you want your own personalized RetireSHIELD plan or a free copy of Casey's book, Baby Boomer Retirement Boot Camp, make sure to call the number that's on your screen right now and you'll talk with one of our representatives, or you can visit our website, RetireSHIELD.tv.
Memories with Grandpa.
My first job.
My fourth job.
Crazy road trips.
Our first date. Meeting our son.
Exploring our world.
Our world. Family and friends.
our special song.
Secure your retirement by meeting with your local, independent, and fiduciary advisor at Crown Haven. Take advantage of your complimentary relationship visit by calling Casey Marx and the team at Crown Haven today.
Hello and welcome back to RetireSHIELD TV. I'm consumer advocate Morgan Patrick, and as always, I am joined by the founder and CEO of Crown Haven Wealth Advisors and creator of the RetireSHIELD process, Casey Marx. Casey is a retirement income certified professional as well as a certified financial fiduciary. Casey, before the break, you were describing the ABCs of retirement. So how many people out there assume because their retirement savings have increased through one stage of their lives that it's always going to continue that way? And luckily for your clients, their retirement savings are safe through RetireSHIELD's secure income planning.
Yeah, and that's really the foundational principle behind our cohesive investment strategy that we put together for our clients. It's our three-bucket approach. We want to make sure that there's enough money in emergency funds so that you can handle any emergencies that come your way. There's more than enough money to create secure income from a guaranteed place. And once those two things are handled, then we begin to look at if we want to try to hit home runs in the world's largest casino, which is what the stock market is. But this is all based on the purpose of our money, right? And we tend to look at our portfolio as one big pile of money, when in reality, there are different uses for our money. You know, if I were to ask my clients, do you want to have enough income in retirement? They'd say yes. If I were to ask them, do you want to make sure that you have enough money for things that might come up that you'll need enough liquidity for? They'd say yes. If I wanted to ask my clients if they wanted to make sure they'd have enough money that would grow to outpace inflation, they'd say yes. If I wanted to ask them, do you want to make sure healthcare would be handled? They'd say yes. And so on and so on.
Sure.
So in retirement planning, the trick is just making sure that you have the right amount of resources allocated for each of those specific purposes. And that's really where we get to the discussion of what is green money and what's red money. And red money is money that you're going to the casino table with knowing that you can afford to lose it. And for most people, let's say if you have less than $5 million of assets, you can't afford to lose any of it because you're having to create replacement income in retirement that is commensurate with your standard of living, right? Green money is money that you know you cannot afford to lose that needs to create income. So what we do at a very basic level is we look at the assets and we say, okay, how much of our money should be allocated in the green? And the green can either be liquid accounts that are FDIC insured, to provide liquidity for emergencies, or they could be insured accounts to create income. And once those two buckets are handled, then we'll look at red money. So, this all goes back to the story of the noble soldier that we've talked about in previous shows, but it's essentially you want to use the right tool for each job, right? The biggest problem in our industry is you've got a whole bunch of people trying to shove a square peg into a round hole. And that's typically because they're captive, they can only work with this bucket or this bucket or this bucket, or they might have a philosophy that tells them that this thing is the best thing since sliced white bread. But in reality, if I'm building a house, you want me to have access to the entire toolbox. You also want me to know how to use all of those tools. If I don't know how to use each of the tools, or if I don't have access to the entire toolbox, you don't want the house I'm going to build you, right? So we want to be using the proper tools for each purpose of money that we have. We want to define which type of money needs to be green, which type of money needs to be, or can be red in the first place due to our risk capacity. And that's really how we begin to formulate the plan based on each individual human being and what their desires are.
And when you talk about being ready for retirement and having the right toolbox or working out of the right toolbox, there are many people out there that are, say, halfway down the path to retirement, and maybe the situation they're in, their toolbox limits them.
Yeah, and that will happen as a result of multiple things. I mean, you've got folks that are in a 401k plan and they've only got access to one drawer of the toolbox. You've got folks that are working with an advisor that might only want to use one drawer of the toolbox. You've got folks that, might have an online brokerage account that they've been managing themselves for, Lord knows how many years, and the most attractive toolbox that the online brokerage makes available to you is this toolbox and this toolbox, and they hide this drawer rather, and they hide these drawers from you because they're not as profitable for them to sell, right? So there's lots of reasons that people don't get access to the tools that actually solve the problems. But what's super important is to be connected with, number one, somebody who specializes in building the house properly. And you can only get that when you work with a retirement planner that has expertise in designing these plans. And we've made it our mission at Crown Haven, which is why we trademarked our process. We've made it our mission to specialize in this exact area of finance, which includes all of those super important areas: income planning, risk management, tax planning, healthcare planning, legacy planning. If you're a business owner, business succession planning, all of the things that correlate directly to retirement. Whereas your typical financial advisor, they're not focused on that, right? So there's a lot of reasons that people end up where they're at without the plan that they need, with a lot of unanswered questions. And then meanwhile, there's a lot of voices talking to them about what they should be doing, when in reality, all people are looking for is somebody that listens to them, that gets them on a personal level, that understands what they're trying to accomplish, and then can apply the skill and expertise to use the proper tools to build the house they want. And that's really all we do. We just have a very organized and systematized process in order to do it because we've focused on that over the course of time. I recognized that at a very early age when I started the company that there was a huge vacuum that needed to be filled. And when folks are trying to get a retirement plan from your local broker dealer or your local boutique, wealth manager, they're essentially going to the McDonald's and trying to order a taco. That's not where you go to get a taco.
It is not.
Right? So we looked at that and we said, okay, what if there was an awesome taco stand and people wanted tacos all day long? Well, we'd probably have a ton of business, and we'd probably be able to serve our clients in a way that all the other burger joints wouldn't be able to serve them.
But at the same time, because you're independent and your toolbox is large,
exactly.
Somebody wants a burger, you got it.
Yeah, we can help them with that as well.
I tell you folks, it's so very, very important to have a plan for retirement. And if you're in a situation where you're halfway down the path and you need that second opinion, or you haven't started planning yet, it's important to kind of get that ball rolling. And we are going to give you that opportunity right now. Now, we are about to take a very quick break, but before we do, I wanted to remind you to join the thousands of Hoosiers out there that have already shielded their retirement with a personalized RetireSHIELD plan. Our lines are now open. They are always open 24/7, so call the number that's on your screen right now. Call that number, or you can also go to our website, RetireSHIELD.tv, for your own personalized RetireSHIELD plan, and you can also pick up a free copy of Casey's book, Baby Boomer Retirement Boot Camp.
Do you know what that sound is? It's me traveling the world. Europe to Asia. I'm vacationing and living the retirement of my dreams because I just met with my advisor at Crown Haven. They helped me turn my nest egg into a golden egg. Take advantage of your complimentary relationship visit by calling Casey Marx and the team at Crown Haven today.
Welcome back to RetireSHIELD TV. I'm consumer advocate Morgan Patrick, and as always, I am joined by the founder and CEO of Crown Haven Wealth Advisors and creator of the RetireSHIELD process, Casey Marx. Casey is a retirement income certified professional as well as a certified financial fiduciary. Now, throughout the show, Casey, you have been, walking us through the ABCs of retirement and the common assumption that retirement savings will continue to grow at every stage of retirement. Now, luckily, with secure income planning through RetireSHIELD, your clients, they don't have to worry about that. That's what I call peace of mind. So now it's time to get into some questions. So If you have your own set of questions, you can certainly send them in. Remember, you can ask Casey those questions by going to RetireSHIELD.tv and filling out the TV question form, and we'll use those on a future program. So let's go to Westfield for this first question from Greg, and here it is. I just reached the age of 59 and a half and was told that I can move my 401k plan if I want to. Now, my current investment selection is limited and realize that I may need to plan for retirement besides just, kind of saying, into my 401k, saving into my 401k. Now, what would you suggest I do?
Greg, you're on the right path. You've realized that you've been in the accumulation stage for a very long period of time. In other words, you've been trying to grow your money in your 401k. You've hit that magic age of 59 and a half, where you have the ability to execute what's called a qualified rollover out of your funds, which is a tax-free event. It allows you to move into what might be a better not only investment vehicle for you, but a better retirement plan for you. So you're right on. You have the ability to do that. What I suggest is that you reach out to us so that we can show you all of the options that are available for you, because there are a plethora of options available for you. And how we would begin to build that plan is we'd get to know you. We'd go over all of those options, and based on exactly what your retirement, what you want your retirement to look like, we would begin to build out a plan that gives you certainty of outcome so that you can pursue whatever your dreams and goals and desires are.
Question and answer always interesting because so many different questions will come in, and just remember this, these are unique situations just as your situation is going to be unique to you, so make sure you have that custom plan. Rebecca from Carmel, and here's the question. Both of my parents recently passed away and I was the beneficiary to their investment accounts. The stage that I am currently in my life, I do not need these funds. However, I do not know what to do with the inherited money. Where would you suggest that I take the funds?
Well, Rebecca, first of all, I'd like to extend my condolences to you. It's always very difficult when we lose a family member, and both of your parents at the same time are very close together. It's a very difficult thing. When it comes to what to do with the inheritance, it's very important that you understand the rules surrounding inherited assets. We're planning properly for tax ramifications if they exist. When it comes to the location of those assets, where they are invested, that's going to be completely dependent upon what your goals are. What's very important is that you sit down with a team of trusted professionals acting in a fiduciary capacity, like we do, that can give you insight into what the options are that are at your disposal, to give you really a plan that you're looking for in order to achieve what you're trying to achieve. And from your question saying you don't really need the money right now, there are lots of tools that you can use that will allow you to grow your money, not necessarily for income now, but for income later. Maybe your goal might be legacy. Whatever it might be, it's very important that you sit down with a team of professionals that can show you exactly how you might be able to accomplish that. Our RetireSHIELD is designed to provide value for each of those issues.
Next question up is John from Fishers. Just a quick reminder, there's going to be an opportunity to take advantage and get a RetireSHIELD put together for you. That's coming up, so stay tuned. All right, here's the question from John and Fishers. I am 65 and I have been several ups and downs in the market. I've been through that. And at this point in my life, I do not want to worry about the volatility in my portfolio as I'm approaching retirement. What would you suggest I do?
Well, John, you're like a lot of our clients, and they're just simply tired of going up and down, sideways and in circles with this market, especially when they need their assets to work for them and provide them income when they're no longer able to work. What I would suggest that you do is you get with us and we'll put together a plan that's bulletproof for you that provides you certainty of outcome. This is the cornerstone of our 3-bucket approach at our firm. And while the philosophy remains similar with different individuals, it's a completely custom tailored plan for what you're trying to achieve. And so what I would start with is I would talk to you about what you're trying to accomplish, exactly what your retirement looks like for you. And you're going to have things that you want to do. You might want to travel across the United States. You might want to go to some international destinations. You might want to go visit siblings that you haven't seen in a while. You could have an endless amount of things that you want to be focused on. We need to understand that. And then based on that, we design the plan with you in mind. But the long and short of it is the volatility can be handled. That's not something that should be of concern when the proper tools are used to achieve the job. What's more important is understanding what John wants and what you're trying to accomplish for yourself. And that's how we build the plan out. And every single RetireSHIELD that we do for every client in our community is built with that ethos.
Well, I tell you, that's a great stepping off point. So let's talk about that. You kind of alluded to that relationship meeting.
Yeah.
But walk our viewers through how it's going to go when they come in for an appointment, because you have 3 steps.
Well, the first visit we call our relationship visit for a reason. It's all about building a relationship based on trust and shared values. That's because, if we don't understand what matters to you, then we can look at all the variables that we can control from a numbers standpoint, and we can create a plan that's not in alignment with what you're really trying to accomplish. For example, like, I could know without a shadow of a doubt that it's good to be protected against losses and grow your money in a way that is better than keeping it at risk to volatility while you're being charged a fee. But if I don't know what you want and how that relates back to maybe liquidity concerns, maybe I want to be able to turn $100,000 of my portfolio into cash in a blink of an eye and go buy, put a down payment on a second home, or maybe I want a snowbird in Florida, whatever I want to do, if I don't get to that first, then whatever philosophy I have over here, quite frankly, doesn't matter. So, my job is to do 2 things. It's to understand the human, and then it's to use the expertise to provide an extreme amount of value for that human. And then we create the retirement plan based on the human component. So it's really understanding who you are, getting to know you. I'm going to tell you about me, because I wouldn't want, to come into somebody's office and just listen to what they have to say and go, okay, well, apparently this guy knows what he's talking about, but I don't really know who he is on a human level. I'm going to tell you why I care so much and why I got into this in the first place and why I'm still sitting here doing it, because I enjoy helping people. I enjoy the fulfillment that I get when, once we set up the plan, I get to watch you. One of the only reasons I keep Facebook, for example, is I get to watch my clients. It's not for me to be on their messaging. It's so that I can see my client Bruce take a motorcycle trip across the United States with 3 of his buddies because he knows he's okay. It's so I can watch my clients Jack and Cheryl, go to Aruba because they just retired, et cetera, et cetera. That's what I do it for. So it's about getting to know you. It's about designing a plan based on who you are. And that's the first step. It's the relationship visit.
Well, that's all the time we have for you today. We'll be back next week, but if you are looking for peace of mind in your retirement, don't wait. Remember, our lines are open 24/7, so call the number that's on your screen. Call it now, or you can visit RetireSHIELD.tv for your free copy of Casey's book, Baby Boomer Retirement Bootcamp, or to have a personalized RetireSHIELD plan created for you by Casey and his talented team of financial advisors.